Hello, how is everybody? Hello, hello, how are you? Welcome to day 2. So today in my Why You Need to Cleanse series, I'm going to be talking about the liver. You hear a lot about the liver. I think there's a lot of misinformation, and also we, we don't understand the liver as much as we could do in terms of detoxification and cleansing, but it is very complicated. The liver serves so many different functions in terms of breaking down substances to detox, cleaning the blood, sending dead things and bacteria away, supporting the gallbladder, supporting the digestion, producing bile. It's an amazing organ, and the beautiful thing about the liver is it is good at kind of regenerating itself. We can survive on a very small amount of liver. They've shown that when people have had their liver lacerated or surgery where the liver's actually been part of it's been cut off, we can still survive. So all of these little processes, it's quite fascinating really, isn't it? All these little processes, methylation, detoxification, cleansing, all going on in this kind of organ, and all those tubules and all these chemical reactions within the liver itself. So it's pretty awesome and it's pretty cool. But why do we need to cleanse it? So when our liver has got this particular job, what is going on? I think there's a bigger part to this question. And what I've noticed over the years, there are more people suffering from issues that are caused by toxins. So we've got plastics, we've got paint fumes, we've got fumes from fires, we've got perfumes, chemical smells, chemical body, we've got cleaning products, we've got flame retardants. So I think from what I see and what I'm thinking is that over the years there's just been more and more burden. I also believe that sometimes we do things that we think are good and they're causing more of an issue. And one thing I'm skeptical of, and I do believe has maybe caused a bit of an issue, is putting synthetic vitamins in food products. So for example, folic acid is a synthetic B vitamin, B9, and that has been put into breads and cereals to support this deficiency. Now, because it's synthetic, essentially that will change the way our body does methylate, detoxify, and now we're seeing more and more amount of people with methylation issues where they can't process break down B9, B12, they become iron deficient. So I think there's more to this than just the toxins. Also mental, emotional issues, these thoughts and trauma, that kind of thing. But I think most of it does come down to this day-to-day toxin overload in our body. And there are so many signs and symptoms of toxic overload. We've got headaches, we've got fogginess, constipation, lethargy and fatigue, especially on waking up in the morning. Sinus problems are an issue, muscle aches and pains, muscle stiffness. We've got conditions, like interstitial cystitis, getting recurrent UTIs, estrogen dominance, so having things like ovarian cyst, endometriosis, polycystic ovarian syndrome. I also did a live, probably about this time last year, when I was talking about Alex Stewart's Low Tox Life. I was talking about how toxins actually are like a stressor in the body. So if you think about how mental, emotional stress and trauma will impact you, the physical toxin will do exactly the same thing. So if a trauma is giving you post-traumatic stress, or it's causing blood sugar to be out of balance, toxins will do the same thing. So if you're constantly in a workplace, say David Jones, and you work in the perfume hall, and you're constantly in have those toxins sprayed and those smells, that's going to not only cause this kind of underlying trauma, but it's also going to cause your blood sugar to be out of balance, insulin resistant, polycystic ovarian syndrome, but diabetes. So there are so many things that come into play with these toxins, and they affect so many parts of us. And I think we all have different signs and symptoms. Some people get bad skin when there's a toxin overload. Some people get worsening of keratosis pilaris. Some people you might know, friends and family, that get bad breath because of the bacteria, the overload of toxins. Others get gallbladder pain. You know, the gallbladder gets a little bit stagnant, and the bile gets thick like honey instead of runny like water, and that can cause pain and gallbladder problems. Other people might have to have their appendix out. Some people might get swollen glands. Some people just get constant rashes, and other people might just be really depressed and feel awful. Some people might also be affected by water-soluble toxins. Others might be affected by heavy metals, other by endotoxins. So remember endotoxins. Endotoxins are what our body produces. Say when we're detoxifying, we get those kind of byproducts. When we're stressed and we suddenly have this adrenaline dump, the body has to break down that adrenaline, and those byproducts are also endotoxins. They can cause anxiety, they can cause inflammation. So there's a ton of things that are signs that you have a toxin overload, you need to detoxify. These signs and symptoms can also lead to sort of like chronic illness. Your liver, as I said earlier, is a wonderful organ. It has all the blood from the intestines. They come through the portal vein. It also secretes bile to detoxify as well. There are lots of things going on in the liver. We've got methylation, so it breaks down nitrate. It breaks down uric acid. It helps support B9. It removes chemicals. It does all this cool thing, but the two that I want to focus on, we've got phase 1 detoxification and we've got phase 2 liver detoxification. Phase 1 is where it uses amino acids, it uses B vitamins to actually break down these fat soluble toxins into water soluble, and then what can happen is they can then be excreted. These would be toxins like hormones, certain drugs. I've actually got a list of things that affect it's interesting when you think about the things that most affect the liver and actually is a big load on the liver. We've obviously got paracetamol. Paracetamol is a really big load on the liver. So if you're taking paracetamol every day, what that's going to do is that's really going to slow down that detoxification phase. Antihistamines are another biggie. Antihistamines really slow down the liver. So you can see that if you're taking antihistamines quite regularly, that can be a big impact on the liver as well. Fructose is a big one as well. And then of course, alcohol. Alcohol can actually cause issues with that phase 1 detoxification. So that's all the things to think about. Also things like histamine. So for those of you that have histamine, say, intolerance, or you've got lots of allergies and you've had your bloods done and you've got really high histamine, often that can mean that your liver in that phase 1, it's not doing its job. It's just not breaking down that histamine. Histamine is a neurotransmitter. It's an excitatory neurotransmitter, so it can cause anxiety, sleeplessness, redness, sensitivity to food. So there's all sorts of things that can go on if that phase is not working properly. Phase 1 is running. So imagine phase 1 running. And so imagine when you do a detox, and I was thinking about this the other day because a client was having a reaction to a detox, and some people do get reactions to detox. So you've got phase 1 and you've got phase 2. Now phase 1 is going at a certain pace. When you start detoxing phase 1, if it's going too fast and your phase 2 is too slow, what can happen is you get sort of those build-up of byproducts. That can lead to things, inflammatory issues, that can lead to anxiety is a biggie. So if you've done a detox and you've had anxiety before, then what that tells us is it tells us that phase 1 is going too fast, phase 2 is too slow, and you're getting this buildup of kind of toxins from phase 1 as it's trying to detoxify. So what's really important is that in that phase, that can indicate you're low in antioxidants. So antioxidants like vitamin C, antioxidants like polyphenols, green tea, what's the one, the red wine one? I've just got a mind blank, but you know the antioxidant in, I've got a mind blank. The one that's in red wine, nice red color. So if phase 1 is going too fast and you're getting this anxiety from detoxification, that can give you a really good indication that you're low in that. Also beta carotene and also selenium. So you may need to take a really nice antioxidant supplement, and also something like milk thistle to support any detoxification that you're doing. Now milk thistle, people use milk thistle incorrectly and think it's something that it's not. Milk thistle isn't your standard liver detoxifier. What it is it's an antioxidant. So when you're detoxifying, what St. Mary's Thistle basically does, it kind of like buffers the liver, acts as an antioxidant. Now what an antioxidant is, it grabs onto oxidative molecules, and so it protects the liver so you don't get any liver damage. Because I have to tell you, detoxes done in the wrong way, you can give you liver damage. Why can they give you liver damage? Just because of what I've said. So your phase 1's going so fast, phase 2's slow, you're pushing the liver to try and detoxify, and what that can cause is that can cause inflammation, and it causes your liver enzymes to be raised. So if you've ever done a liver detox and you've had raised liver enzymes, that can indicate that you're not doing it correctly. So it's really important to kind of follow the advice of experts and to follow a specific detox that will actually work on these levels of detoxification together, and so you're not getting any liver damage. Because there's so much that can be going on there, and you really need to support the liver. Things that can cause phase 1 to go super fast: coffee. So who here is sensitive to coffee? I'm not. I have 1 coffee a day. If I was to have coffee in the afternoon, I wouldn't sleep. Some people can drink copious amounts of coffee all day and it doesn't affect them. But if you've got a problem with phase 1 and you have coffee and it overstimulates you, that can mean that it is too slow. Okay, so it's too slow. It's not metabolizing things that quickly. Other things that can cause issues: alcohol, but also fat. Yeah, so fat is also processed in this phase 1 detoxification. So for those of you that are on a high fat diet, keto diet, how do you feel? Because that fat essentially has to be processed through the liver. So when you're on a ketogenic diet, you really need to support phase 2, because fat speeds up that phase 1. So it's really good at detoxifying the liver in phase 1, but if you're going full on keto and you're not working on that phase 2, what happens? We get the keto rash, we can end up getting the anxiety, some people get the bad skin, some people get constipated. So if you're doing something like a keto diet, a high fat diet, you need to be supporting the liver in phase 2. Phase 2 is lots of amino acids, lots of glutathione, lots of glycine, lots of taurine, all your B vitamins. So phase 2 is really important to support as well, not just supporting the phase 1 with beautiful things like dandelion and detoxifying products. So you need to support both of those phases. But have a think about that if you are on a high fat diet or a ketogenic diet and you're getting that anxiety, you probably need to work on that phase 2 liver detoxification. If phase 1 is too slow, so if it's too slow, what that means is, imagine they're kind of cogs and you've got phase 1 and then it leads to phase 2. If phase 1 is too slow, that means it can't process all the chemicals and toxins coming in. So that means that you might have signs and symptoms of car sickness. You might feel nauseous when you're around chemicals. You might find that perfumes make you feel nauseous and you're just really sensitive to chemicals. If that's the case, then you do need to do a little bit of work on that phase 1. Now, if caffeine really doesn't affect you, so if you can have caffeine all day and you can have coffee all day and you sleep just fine, then that can mean that that phase is actually too fast. So you need to work on your phase 2 more. So there are some signs and symptoms that give you an idea of how to work on both of these phases. And if you're ever unsure, you never do a detoxification that's just pumping one phase. Never just do one thing. Never just do a juice fast without first supporting, say, your liver and working on your liver using a number of different things, because then it can cause that issue. So that's phase 1 and phase 2 and how they work together. But think about everything's coming through phase 1. Phase 1 is kind of processing it. It's either sending it off to the liver, the kidneys, the bowel, or it's going on to phase 2 where it gets what's called conjuncted. So it kind of we've got a lot of different phases in phase 2. We've got sulfation. So sulfation needs sulfur. So it's where the chemicals come from phase 1, and then sulfur kind of grabs these byproducts and helps to take it out of the bowel. So that's why broccolis and brassica vegetables, Epsom salt baths are wonderful. What else? Sulphur, onions, garlic, all of those sulfurous vegetables are really good at supporting the phase 2. Another thing is glucuronidation as well. So that gets supported. You need your glutathione for that, calcium deglucarate for that. So there's those minerals as well, that those supplements that help with that phase 2. Amino acids as well. So this is where your amino acids, like your taurine and like your cysteine, glycine, will grab on, and they kind of conjunct. So it's like you've got this byproduct from phase 1 liver detoxification just running around causing havoc, like an oxidation. So this molecule running around, and it needs to be stabilized. The amino acid will come along and it will stabilize it, and then it will take it out of the bowel. So this is why you need amino acids. This is why amino acids are really important when you detoxify. When you're vegan or vegetarian, you also need to be aware of this as well. When you do a cleanse, you need to be making sure you're getting all the general amino acids and having foods with amino acids in, and that will keep you grounded during a cleanse. Otherwise, a cleanse can be quite tough for you, and it can cause that anxiety, like I mentioned before, and it can cause those kind of negative symptoms. So phase 2, that's phase 2. So phase 2 is all those different kind of all these different processes that kind of tag on to phase 1. So you want both of those working nicely. Now, like I said, why we detox and why we need to detox and why we need to work on both of those phases is because of things that are going on in our life. We've got byproducts from hormones, we've got estrogen, we might be on medication, we might be on antihistamines, taking paracetamol, we might be on a ketogenic diet. All of this puts pressure on our liver and means that we have to do a kind of a broad spectrum detoxification on our liver and also our whole body. So yesterday I talked about the lymphatics, and I talked about dry skin brushing, and I talked about doing the castor oil packs, which are fantastic for detoxification. And I'm trying to think of the liver, you know, what's the one thing that I would do for my liver? If there was only one thing that I would do, two things. If there was just one thing. So in general, looking after your liver, you want to look after the whole body. So I love doing oil pulling. Oil pulling is fantastic. Apple cider vinegar or lemon in water is also wonderful because the acetic acid helps with the bile production in the liver. Antioxidants, so polyphenols like your green tea, your blueberries are wonderful. You need antioxidants for the liver, otherwise then you might have issues. You might get fatty liver, you might get liver enzymes, and you can also get liver damage. It's easy to get liver damage done the wrong way. Then also brassica vegetables are really good. But I think if there was one thing that I would do for my liver, if I was going to choose one thing, so yesterday for the lymphatics I said castor oil, and if I was going to do one thing for the liver today, that would be dandelion root tea. I would do dandelion root tea because it's wonderful working on the bile, but also supporting your liver as well. So I think that's the one thing I would do. And I've started doing about 2 cups a day, and so that's the one thing. So yesterday for the lymphatics, castor oil pack daily. Today for the liver, I would do the dandelion root tea. Coupled onto that, salads. I would do salads and vegetables daily as well for the antioxidants, and salads for the antioxidants and also the enzymes support the liver. So using that kind of rainbow colored salad, you know, you've got all your reds, your yellows, you've got your greens as well. You could put some sulphur, you know, your red cabbage, your purple cabbage with sauerkraut. All of those things work as an antioxidant. So I would definitely do a salad a day in terms to look after my liver, and I would do dandelion tea if I had to do one thing, that is. So that would be it for the liver. And I would do the dry skin brushing as well, and increase all my bitter vegetables, and you put them in your salads. You would do the endive, you could do the rocket, you could do sprouts as well. So all of those beautiful bitter foods help to stimulate the bile, and the bile is one of the most important processes in our body. It helps to alkalize the small intestine. I'm going to tell you something in a minute that's interesting. It helps to alkalize the small intestine, and it helps to kill off bacteria in the small intestine. And when it alkalizes the small intestine, what this means is is it kills the bacteria H. pylori. So if you have problems with the bacteria H. pylori, it can mean because your small intestine is too acidic, so maybe your gallbladder or your liver isn't working effectively. So the bile goes in. Not only does it help detoxify, but it alkalizes the small intestine, which means the lactobacilli bacteria can get through the small intestine and go and live in the large intestine, which is where it lives. So that's very interesting. Someone asked me the other day about alkalization, so I wanted to touch on this quickly. Someone said, why does apple cider vinegar and lemon alkalize the body? It's interesting, isn't it? Interesting question. Because when you put in a pH stick into lemon, when you put in a pH stick into apple cider vinegar, it's very acidic. So it's interesting the mode of action and actually what happens. But what does happen is when you have acetic acid or citric acid, it helps to stimulate the liver and it helps to stimulate the gallbladder. The gallbladder and liver help to stimulate that acidic alkaline production. So the bile is alkaline production. So your stomach enzymes and your stomach acid is very, very acidic. When you have the apple cider vinegar, you have the lemon, that stimulates the bile, it stimulates the liver, stimulates the gallbladder to secrete bile, which is alkaline. That goes into the small intestine, and then that has a knock-on effect of alkalizing the tissues in the body and alkalizing your gut. So I wanted to tell you that because I didn't know if you knew that, and I find that fascinating and very interesting. And whenever someone tells you to do something, you always need to know why. Well, I do anyway, because you want to know why is it working, what's the mechanism of action, how so. So that's very interesting, I found. So I hope you enjoyed today. Just an update on the liver. The one thing I would do would be dandelion tea. Yesterday, castor oil packs for your lymphatic system. And tomorrow I'm talking about the gallbladder, because I love talking about the gallbladder. It's my favorite thing to talk about. Very, very important when it comes to cleansing. So that's very exciting. And in terms of what to do next with cleansing, next week we're starting a 5-day cleanse, 5-day salad challenge on the membership program, so you can take a look at that. And if you are interested in doing that, on Friday we have the Black Friday sale, so you will be able to get the breakthrough membership at a special discounted price. So I'll post that for you sometime in the week so you can take a look. Have a fantastic day, enjoy that, and I'll see you here tomorrow talking about all things gallbladder, my favorite topic. Bye.